Hi, everyone. Welcome to Radiant Living, Inspiring Humanity to Thrive. I'm your host, Marisa B. And today I'm thrilled to have with me the founder of Badass Butterfly Academy and the Badass Butterfly Fire Alchemy Coaching Method. I'd like to welcome Crystal Lynn. Crystal, thank you so much for coming today.
Hi, Marissa. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, first of all, the first question I have to ask, because you deal with midlife. And yet, if people ask you about your life, it seems to be really a fairy tale. So, could you first tell the audience a little bit about it? Because I've been following you for quite some time. And I know you live in Europe and you've lived a number of places. Could you explain a little bit about, first of all, how you came to find yourself in Europe and then how you came to start this whole academy that you're running? Hi, everyone. Marisa B here from Radiant Living. If you like what we're doing and want to keep the conversations going, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know every time we upload a video. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So yes, so I am someone who believes in following their heart, Marissa, like from um just pure and simple, follow spirit and trust the divine. And I'm someone who has been psychic all of her life. And I shouldn't say psychic. It's just strongly connected to the divine and strongly connected to subtle energies. So I hear messages very clearly. And for my particular life, I've always valued freedom and the ability to kind of just follow my heart. So when I would get opportunities, I would always say yes first and then figure out how it was going to happen afterward, right? So when I was 15 years old, I was in high school and there was a note put on a bulletin board and it said, go to Europe over the summer, with some other high school
Hmm.
kids. And I did, and it opened up opportunities for
Hmm.
me. And while the rest of my friends were saying, "Oh, my parents will never let me go. My parents won't afford this, they'll never make this
Hmm.
happen for us." I immediately went to my family and I said, "This feels like a yes for me. What do you
Hmm.
think?"
Hmm.
And they basically said, "Yes, we're going to send you." And so I ended up going to Europe, and that shaped my desires for the future. And when I came back from that trip, it was one of those, I don't know if you've ever done one of those tours anywhere in the world,
Hmm.
but you go to like 7 different countries
Yes.
in in
Yes,
two
yes.
weeks
Quickly, yes.
very quickly. But I'll tell you, one country left a big impression on me. All
Mhm.
of them were amazing, okay? But it was one country that touched my heart, and it was France. And it was Paris in particular. And I remember when I stepped off the plane in Paris, I remember thinking, oh, I'm home. And I started crying. And my friends were like, what in the world is going on? Like the people on the trip. But I'm like, I feel like I'm home. And so for me, that's just an example of how I feel and how I relate. So I chose to come here. I did not know how I was going to be here, but I just knew I would. I started my own business about 20 years ago.
Mhm.
And um, the first business I actually sold, it was a brick and mortar business located
Mhm.
in Long Beach, California, a
Mhm.
healing center.
Yes.
I read Tim Ferriss's The 4 Hour Work Week book
Hmm. Yeah.
and decided that I was going to live that life. And so
Hmm.
I sold that business and started an online coaching
Hmm.
business. I got certified as a coach, and that's how I ended up working where I am right now with women doing midlife. And that's how I started my Badass Butterfly Alchemy Academy.
And then you lived in Italy for a while.
I did.
You
I've
were in
lived in
Italy for,
Italy.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I lived in
Yes.
Italy and Croatia. I've also
Hmm.
spent extended amounts of time in Asia. But
Yeah.
yes, Italy was quite an important part for me as well. Another place that touched my heart for sure.
And then you move, right. And then after that, you move to France. And I mean, I love looking at all of the pictures when you're walking on the street. It's so beautiful. It's
Thank you.
lovely. It's wonderful. So you're coaching, but you're showing us this beautiful environment as well. And of course, the apartment that you have is stunning. I remember when you moved into this apartment, it was a beautiful, oh my gosh, what a lovely, lovely apartment, gorgeous apartment. And yeah, you're working with women in midlife, and that's a heavy area, right? Because as women, midlife does not shine upon many of us
Yeah.
in a favorable light. And so, tell me a little bit about the academy because you are serious. You work, I mean, you say it's the 4-day work week, but you're on there all the time. I mean, you have programs that are really structured um, effectively, and it's serious. It's not, I just want to play and pretend. It's serious. This is really getting down to business. Could you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking that because midlife is an issue, right? And
Mm,
what my goal and desire is to help women understand that midlife is actually a second birth. It's a second opportunity at life. And I was just talking to someone before I came on with you, and we were having a wonderful conversation. And I was telling her that midlife for me, the menopause, which everyone dreads and there's so much talk about, but for me, I saw that as a second puberty.
mhm,
And the first puberty, we look at that like as a blossoming of our sexuality and coming into, we've got these, injections of hormones that are
mhm,
coursing through us. And I just see that midlife is another opportunity in that same way to understand that there's something new that's coming alive. There's a revolution that's happening. And it's a really important one because whereas with puberty, there's the lack of wisdom, and those
right.
hormones really flood our
Mhm,
systems, and we go crazy. We
mhm,
go crazy as teenagers. But in midlife, there's a bit of going crazy as well.
mhm,
But if we're wise, we can use this opportunity to actually step into the next birth. There's wisdom, there's vibrancy, there's creativity, there's even incredible sex if we allow
mhm,
ourselves the time, because there's a period where menopause slows us down, but with the proper changes in our diet, a different way of exercising, a different way of relating to our work, if we do all those things, we'll find that there are gems that are hidden in all of these things that come upon us. And so that's what I'm doing with Badass Butterfly Alchemy. For me, Badass Butterfly Alchemy is about going from being a caterpillar, which is pre-midlife,
mhm,
and going through menopause is, that transformation, being in the
mhm,
chrysalis, being in the cocoon, metamorphosis.
mhm.
And then we come out as these
Mhm.
women who are mastering our lives. You doing the work that you're doing, creating this podcast, bringing people together. This is pure creativity. It's your co-creation with the divine. I find this to be absolutely magical and the best time of my life. How do you feel
Yes.
about midlife?
Um, you know, I'm just going through it because it's just part of life. I mean, I'm the kind of person, there's no sense in complaining because who wants to hear you complain, right? Everybody has their own issues. Um, it's not going to go reverse. We haven't found that way. Listen, I'll be the first online if we can go backwards in time and go back to 21 or 22 years old, but that's not going to happen now. So there's no sense in being pessimistic or cynical or upset or angry. You just have to go with the moment. And that's how I feel. And I'm serious about, first of all, I want to say before anything, I love your phrase. You say, live sensually, coach powerfully. And I think that's just marvelous. I mean, that's really what we're doing. And
Yeah.
because the way the planet is going in a certain way with certain beings, um, that seems to always be in the forefront of news and daily living, and it's sad that it has to be. And the planet is so beautiful, and we all are beautiful in our own way, and we should all be enjoying the fruits of this planet and giving to the planet and giving to each other. And often it doesn't happen that way. And so that's really why I started the show, because really, if you look around, there are, if you want to use the term, ordinary people, and everyone's living an extraordinary life, and we don't get to hear about that. And so, especially midlife, because I think that what has happened to women before, it's that, young and beautiful and airbrushed to be on a cover of a magazine is what's important. And that's really not what reality is. And we're all suffering because that's some sort of unrealistic idea of what women are supposed to be. And sadly, and I've spoken to many women, and they say that from midlife on, it's almost like they don't know what to do with you. They want you really to not speak and go away. So if you're in a big corporate position, they want you to retire. Would like you to retire, go away. If you're in a corporate meeting, if you're in a big board meeting, they don't want you to speak up because what you have to say, they're not interested in hearing. And I think that that is still going on today. And I think that it's a big issue out there. And that's why I loved when you said that this is midlife and how we have to take back our power and we have to grab those reins to live radiantly. And that's really what we should all be doing.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. So for me, midlife again is a rebirth. And very often those things that go away, they don't want you to speak up in the boardroom, you're feeling invisible. For me, those are opportunities or breadcrumbs that are leading us to the next thing. And the next thing is not about hiding, but the next thing is more about understanding that the world as it was cannot support the
Hmm.
new beings that we are becoming. I think that women in midlife are bigger than life.
Hmm.
And it's not just about being, girl power. I
Hmm.
just think honestly we are.
Hmm.
And as one of my clients was saying yesterday, she's like, men don't carry babies. She, had given birth to three children.
Hmm.
And she is psychically connected to her children. She knows when they're going to call before they pick up the phone, before they call. She knows that they're going to call, whether it's the middle of the night or whatever. She knows because of that deep, profound connection that she has as a mom. And, for us women, that we were kind of told and kind of cloistered. I know that it's a problem with the patriarchy, but I also think that there's a gift there because we get to listen and follow the moon because that is where we're from. Women are of the moon. And so
Hmm.
that strong intuition, that strong connection to the heart, that strong connection to our sexual centers, I think that those are the key to blossoming what comes next for us. So again, menopause is an interesting period because there's this kind of, the hormones are dropping, the hormone levels are dropping, but what we don't give enough impetus to or enough focus on is the fact that our passions are still rising. I have not, even though I've gone completely through menopause, there was never a day when I did not feel connected to the divine
Hmm.
or connected in the realm of ideas. I've never not felt connected in my heart. So maybe I've had less estrogen,
Hmm.
but I've always been connected. And so, what I do in Badass Butterfly Alchemy is I help you find that connection to yourself, to your centers, your chakras, your heart center, your solar plexus, your throat chakra, your third eye chakra, your crown, finding your sacral, that sexual energy, but also that powerful root chakra manifesting energy. When a woman, it doesn't matter what stage she is in life, but especially in midlife, she still has access to all these incredible centers.
Mhm.
I don't care if you've had your uterus removed, your gallbladder removed,
Mhm.
your energy is still there. And with your breath, with your focus, and with just pure will connecting to the divine, you can open up and bring in so much light. And I swear, I swear I got something's coursing through me. There's
Mhm.
so much life. The sex has
Mhm.
come back. The ability to run has come back.
Mhm.
My weight has balanced. I'm
Mhm.
eating less. For me, this is transformation. When a caterpillar goes into the
Mhm.
chrysalis and it melts away, it dies. The old
Mhm.
self dies and a new being is born. Marissa, for me, that's what the midlife woman has the potential to to spread her
Mhm.
butterfly wings and live at that level. It's a new perspective. A caterpillar, a 25-year-old woman. I love
Mhm.
that she has hormones. I love that she has collagen. Love that for her. But what she doesn't have is experience. She doesn't have this wisdom. She can't
Mhm.
carry a company on her back like I
Mhm.
have. She hasn't done that
Mhm.
yet. Okay.
Right.
She will in 25 years, but
Mhm.
she's not there
Mhm.
now. Men might want her. But
Mhm.
what I have and what we have as midlife women is incredibly powerful. And the opportunity is to take that power and create with it, whether it's writing books, being coaches,
Mhm.
mentoring younger women, starting businesses, whatever it is, there's opportunity for us. And I'm very passionate about helping women discover that.
And now, what do you say to someone who they really want to get started? They know that there's something missing, or they know that, the next part of their life is going to be different, but they just don't know how to start, or they just don't know how to shed the old life. What do you say to them? Because this is
Yeah.
often an issue.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. And I have complete empathy for that. I get it. Number one, ask for help, right? For, listening to you, watching your podcast, reaching out to you, reaching out to me. I have systems that are for women who are just coming into this. All you have to do is be willing to say yes. I've just written an ebook about this, and
Yes.
it outlines what the process is,
Hmm.
how to get started. So the first thing is ask for help.
Hmm.
Read books, do podcasts, work with a coach, work with a mentor,
Hmm.
join a group where there are women who are making choices that are empowered, and trust. For me, a sensual approach is where this begins. And when I'm talking about sensuality, Marissa, I'm talking about um, getting back in touch with the body, letting go of the anger that's in the body, especially the anger that's going toward the body. We get mad
Hmm.
because the hormones are lowered. We get
Hmm.
mad because we're the weight is settling on. We've
Yes.
got the cellulite, the hair is getting dry,
Hmm.
there are wrinkles and there are all kinds of things going
Hmm.
on, right? There's this.
Yes.
Okay. But we got to stop that
Hmm.
and start connecting in a different way. And for me, starting inside with the senses is
Hmm.
an incredible way to start loving your body. It's not about losing weight, but it's about going back to your basic senses: smell, touch, taste, hearing, sight.
Hmm.
And that sixth sense is so important.
Hmm.
Intuition, tuning in, getting into the body, bringing pleasure back to the body. You bring pleasure back to your body. You don't care what anybody else is thinking about you. You don't
Right.
care what's
Exactly.
happening. Why?
Hmm.
Because you're in your own pleasure
Hmm.
and you're doing things that light you up. So that's where I recommend to begin.
Yes. So true. I have to agree, because I know that that really is the crux of the issue with many people. And not everybody has to be a coach, right? You
Right.
offer, for example, you have a membership program, which many people have. Like you said, I feel that community is really important. Again, I hearken back to the fact that all the horror that's out there seems to always find its place, to find its way as the headlines. And yet we don't have this um, easy access to community that nurtures us and assists us and helps us rise up. I think that if we place our emphasis on that, we really connect with one another. We don't need the other stuff. I think often people are fearful that they can't find the place to connect, and they really should look to connect because you'll see that all those other things will fall by the wayside. Not that they're not there, they are there. And not that you're not supposed to be aware of it, because you should be aware of it, especially if it's going to be something that's scary and harmful to you. So you should be aware, but you really need to have that community, that sense of connection, that group that you can run to in time of emergency. And I think that a lot of people don't have that yet. That's why I think it's important for us to have these conversations to show that there are these places that you can go and join and find connection, camaraderie, collaboration. I think it's so important.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And listening, feeding yourself nurturing things on a regular basis, I think is so important. For me, in my community, I, I believe in going live every week.
Mhm,
I'm always
mhm,
making videos and putting them out there, in the public space, whether it's Facebook or YouTube, whatever. I put it out there. But in that community, listening to people and giving them a space to be able to express themselves, I think it is really important. And, being able to create a platform like that has been a real blessing for me. Yeah. And
mhm.
especially around midlife. Yeah.
Right. And tell me a little bit about, so look, so for example, I know you have a monthly membership, and
Yeah.
that community is found where? Give me an instance of, I know you're on social media because I've seen you on social media and I've listened numerous times and I've joined some of your lives. So I know you're on Facebook, but let's hear where you are on social media. Like, how would one listen to what you have to say? I know you mentioned YouTube as well. So where are
Yeah.
you where they can hear everything?
So primarily I'm on Facebook and YouTube. Those are my two primary platforms. And YouTube, I love putting long form videos and
Mhm,
classes. And Facebook, I really love, I just love doing all the things. I have a thought, I go
mhm,
right to Facebook. It can be
mhm,
a short thought, it can be a long thought, it can be a
mhm,
long article that I've just written. I'm
mhm,
sitting up in bed, I've
mhm,
done my meditation. Some inspiration comes on. I'll either open up the video and then start talking,
mhm,
or I'll write a long blog
mhm,
post and share that. But it's the both of those platforms for me are really good for allowing me to express my creativity.
mhm,
And then of course I have my own platform where I have my group, and that's where I put my more high value things like workbooks, and we have classes in
mhm,
the membership and all those kinds of things. But
mhm.
yeah, I do. I have a
And
lot. But
I'm
again, the
assuming,
creativity is here.
yes, yes, and I'm assuming that the membership is through, you can find that on your website,
Yes,
right, to
absolutely.
where
And
to join.
I
Yes.
should provide you with
And
those
I
with the link
will,
for
and
sure.
I will put all that information. I always do that. I always offer all the information in the description because I really feel that I don't think that many of us realize that we really have the power to connect with one another. And
Yeah,
we should be connecting with one another. And that's where we should be spending our time, our energy, our money,
yeah,
our, because that's really what's important. We want to be with others that are of a like mind. And
that.
I'm a big believer in using online platforms because we touch so many people all over the world.
Yeah,
People that really felt that they were alone. I've had numerous times people say that they thought that their ideas were very different, and they were shunned in the area that they lived, and they didn't know what they were going to do until they found community and realized that there are other people out there that feel like they do and that have the same ideas and want the planet to be the way they see it, and to work towards that and to give to community. So I think it's so important. I find it's wonderful when everyone has an opportunity to join groups and memberships. So that's why I make sure that I list all of that in the description. is so important. And you did mention your ebook. I do want to touch on that a little bit because you do mention a little bit about your personal life when your mom wasn't well. Can you speak a little bit about that with the ebook? Because it is free to everyone. So I am going to put that link in because it's very important to read it. It's a wonderful book.
Yeah, thank you. And actually, Marissa, I love writing. Okay, you probably know this about me because
Mm.
we've been in the circle together
Mhm.
for a long time. I love writing,
Yes.
and so I literally just wrote another ebook. This one is completely about midlife, and it's called Midlife Makeover: A High-Performing Woman's Guide to Reclaiming Pleasure, Power, and Purpose. And for me, this is like my favorite ebook. And it talks about, and actually, in this particular book, I talk more about that the issue of overachieving. And for me, overachieving was something that was kind of instilled in me from as a young person. And I always felt like I wasn't doing enough. So what I would do is do more. I would do
Mhm.
over. And working was one of the ways that I received praise. It was one of the ways that I felt validated and valuable. So I would work really hard, and I found myself working, just this woman who was defined by how much she worked and how much she could carry and how much responsibility she would take on. And if there was something you wanted done,
Mhm.
I'm the one who would come in and get it done. And my whole value was based on that.
Mhm.
And the problem was that that's not actually what spirit wants of us. That's not of spirit. That's of man, that's of
Mhm.
ego, that's a human thing. And I collapsed. And so this
Mhm.
book is about being a midlife woman who can identify with overachieving and pushing and trying to make things happen and trying to be everything for everyone,
Mhm.
and the detriment that that causes us, and how to bring ourselves out of that and into a place of pleasure,
Mhm.
power, and purpose. And for me, that's what midlife is about, and that's what this ebook is about.
Yes. And so I definitely want to list that as well, about the
Awesome.
ebook because yes, I was reading one of your ebooks and I was where you were speaking about your mom that she hadn't been well and, she had recovered, of
Yes.
course, but yes.
Yeah, that was
Um,
the Alchemy Coach Secrets
yes.
book. And look, that one in that particular book, that was a book for people who are training with me to
Hmm.
be coaches for women
Hmm.
in midlife and in different levels. So I do have a coaching certification, and
Hmm.
that particular book
Yes.
you're talking about is definitely dealing with that. And when my mom transitioned, that actually that I don't, for when your mom dies and you're a woman, all of a sudden
Mhm.
your whole being
Yes.
is you're called into something else. And it's magical and it's spiritual and it's horrible, but it's also wonderful because when your mom goes, you're left with
Mhm.
everything. And it's a journey of discovery. So for me, it was a very, very powerful time, and it influenced definitely the woman that I am today.
Yes.
Yeah,
And I do want to make that point that you mentioned because you do have the coaching program. And as I said earlier, coaching is not for everyone. Not everyone has to be a coach.
right.
However, um, those that want to be a coach, there are places that you can reach out to find programs that really work for you, work well for you. And then you in turn work well with others. And I believe that we all really need a coach. Everybody has mostly people that are coaches have had coaches themselves. Some people still use coaches. There's nothing wrong with that, as well as therapists. I mean, people have both often, therapist and coach, because they do very different things. And there's no, um, not necessarily shame, but there's no qualms about looking for that out on the planet. I think that we really should have all that support. I find that it's really important, especially now more than ever. Don't you find that even those that don't come to the coaching academy, but those that are looking for a coach, I mean, they really need that support.
Absolutely, 100%. For me, having a coach, I've not had a coach for at least the last 15 years. And for me, a coach or a mentor, and those are people who keep their eye on the ball even when I'm going through different things. Their job is to help me return to the goal and to stay on track. They can help me see where I cannot, because when we're in the
Mhm.
situation, it's really, really easy to lose
Yes.
sight. Emotions come, we get
Hmm.
distracted, the moon cycles.
Hmm. Yes. Yes.
All these
It's
different
true.
things. Politics can throw us
Hmm.
off. And a coach and mentor is there to help you remember what the goal is and to
Hmm.
help you deal with the things that are distracting you and help you get on track. And for me, being a coach is a real pleasure. It's an honor. I love working with my students. I love watching them. They come to me at point A. There's something that they're struggling with, and there's somewhere that they want to go. There's something that they want to manifest. I take them through a process, and on the other end, they have the thing that they desire. They have a different mindset. They have transformed. It is powerful, and I am so honored to be able to do that with people.
Yes. Well, now with all this that you're doing, all that you're always doing, the writing, the coaching, the academy, where do you see yourself going from here? Because I know that, of course, you're still in Europe, and so I'm sure that you're going to stay there because you love the area that you live in. But where do you see yourself going from here, professionally, personally?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Oh my God, Marissa. Okay. So, yes, number one, doing more of this, but on a larger scale, right? I'm now ready to work with larger groups of women. I'm very, very blessed in that I've worked literally with thousands of women.
Hmm.
Now I'm ready to scale that. I am working on a book that I'll be submitting for publishing. That's a part of getting the word out to more people. Ultimately, though, the thing that I really desire to do is to have a farmhouse in Italy and
Hmm.
turn that into a retreat center
Yes.
where that will be my home, but
Hmm.
operating, and I
Hmm.
will be bringing people in. There
Yes.
will be groups, it will be holistic, there will be vineyards, there will be a
Hmm.
garden, there's going to be a chef,
Lovely.
and we are going to be
Hmm.
creating all kinds of wonderful healing experiences for
Hmm.
people. That to me is the ultimate goal.
That's marvelous, right? We need so many of those places because really, once you step into something like that,
Yeah.
there's no going back, right? Because you find that you have other individuals that attend that are of a like mind. It's a small container.
Yeah.
You really find that that's the road, right? That's the road that your journey takes you on. It's real. I find that so important to have those places out
Yeah, I
there,
think the places
right?
are important. And also,
Hmm.
for me, that connection with nature
Hmm.
is
Yes.
is paramount.
Hmm.
And being able to facilitate deep change. I love Paris.
Hmm.
I do. I
Yes.
love Paris.
Yeah.
I love Florence. I love Rome. I love
Hmm.
them.
Yeah.
But being
But
able
they're
to
big cities, right? Big cities. Yeah, the big
that
cities.
concrete, oh my
Yes.
goodness. Yeah, big cities.
Hmm.
So give me, Tuscany and the
Hmm.
hills and a farmhouse and space, and
Hmm.
bring me some women, and let's create ritual. Let's connect to the earth. Let's connect to the stars, and let's allow spirit to come in and transform us. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Now, do you see that? How far in the future is that for you?
About 5 years.
Mhm.
Yeah, about 5 years. So, the process in my mind, and just thank you for you asked. So let me tell you,
Yes,
okay?
yes.
So over the next 2 years, I want to build up my community.
Hmm.
And in about 3 years, I want to be in Italy looking at
Hmm.
properties
Hmm.
and then spending a couple of years
Hmm.
developing and bringing people in. The way it feels like there's already a property with my name on it
Hmm.
and a space that's ready. And so it'll be, the plan will be
Hmm.
made and then we'll just get in there and start. And
Yeah.
I feel like things
Hmm.
are going to happen very quickly. Yeah.
Yes. And as I said, I think it's a wonderful idea because we need places like this,
Yeah.
for people to actually attend and to really see what community is all about because it is a small container when you attend these types of places. It's a small container, it's intimate, and you really see how your journey unfolds.
Yeah.
So I think what you're doing is so important. And I definitely want to list everything and everywhere that people can contact you. And I do want to let them know that you are on Facebook and you do a lot of live and you people can go on there and listen because you are on there quite often, as you said, with your message out there. And I want people to make sure that they listen, as I especially women that are in midlife because I think
Yeah.
often they don't know where to turn.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
they're fearful, right? I think they're even fearful to bring it up because often they're a mom, they're a wife, they're an employee, and they think that. And I'm sure you've heard this because I know I've not only heard this myself, but even clients that for a woman to even spend a minute on herself someone else is always throwing that phrase that she's selfish or
Right.
self-centered or self-absorbed. And I think that a lot of women are fearful to say anything because they are in all those categories of wife, mom, a daughter, employee, that they're scared that somebody may say, you're just if that's too frivolous, you're spending too much time on yourself. And
Yeah,
so,
I agree. I think that this is a problem. It's the whole thing of you're selfish because you're not giving everything to your children, to your spouse, to your job, to your parents. I think
mhm,
that's grossly unjust,
mhm,
but I think it's what a lot of women feel,
yes.
and I absolutely want to help liberate them
Mhm,
because I honestly I feel like if they gave more to themselves,
mhm,
they would find that the people around them would support them more than
mhm.
they think they would,
Right, right.
I think there's more support out there. I just think that there's a mindset that we
Hmm.
have, and
Hmm.
that is what limits us more than what other people even
Hmm.
think, you know?
Yes, yes. And sometimes it's even amongst other women, because I've actually heard that. That's
Yeah,
amongst other women, that they say, oh, she was only concerned with herself, which is kind of sad to say, because
yeah,
really, when we know that when we do take care of ourselves, when we love ourselves first, we can then love others all the better and we can give more to them. And
absolutely.
it seems like it's not true that it wouldn't work that way, but it really does work that
It
way.
does.
And,
Yeah,
and there is a balance. I mean, nobody's going to negate the fact that you might have to help your parent or you might have to still have dealings with your children that are minors because they're still in the home and you still have to feed them and drive them to locations because that's your job. But there is a balance. There's
yeah,
nothing wrong with taking time for yourself. And I think that um, women have to really see that, and say that this is okay for me. I think that's like the first block that they have. Once they can get past that, then they can move forward. And it's
did you
important.
experience that, Marissa, in yourself? Have you ever
No,
experienced that?
no, no, quite I mean, sad to say, probably many of them are saying that I'm selfish and self-centered because no, if you ask everybody who knows me, they're going to tell you that I come first.
Mhm.
I'm of the belief that I come first and then I can have the wherewithal to handle everyone and everything afterwards. And I am
Yeah,
a doer like you, we're doers. We're not beers. We're
Right.
very big doers.
Hmm.
And I know that of you, a very big
Hmm.
doer, and so am I.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm sure that there have been people who have said that I've been selfish and self-centered, but I know that if I don't take care of myself, how could I possibly give anything to anyone else? But I have
That's
a lot of clients that have more or less been browbeaten into believing that the slightest little thing, even a 5 minute break to, look at a magazine, they
yeah.
feel culpable that they're not giving their all to everyone and everything. And
This is
it's
the
it's sad.
overachiever
Yeah,
mentality.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's an overachiever mentality, and yes, I think women are classically the overachievers, and we're trying to people please,
Hmm.
and
Yes.
overcommitting.
Hmm.
These I think are big issues,
Hmm.
and but it does require courage on the woman's part
Hmm.
to at least, as you said, to speak up and to ask for help,
Hmm.
to at least get help, even if you don't, you may not step into your own your own self-care immediately,
Yeah.
but somewhere, starting
Right.
somewhere somehow
Right.
is important.
Exactly. Small, even small, because
Yeah,
yes, it has to be baby steps, and
yeah,
I really want to reiterate about coaching and getting yourself some sort of coach or mentor, because believe you me, especially where women are concerned, oftentimes they're made to feel guilty about what they're doing.
yeah,
Sometimes it even comes from family. Uh, I have an example of someone who was a nurse in two major hospitals in New York, worked her whole life, retired, and decided for a better life, to move to another location because it was easier for her financially, weather-wise. Well, the family started with her guilt because, of course, there was no one to watch their children when they wanted to go away or they had to go to work. There was no one there to help out in case the dog had to go out when they weren't available. And so they began to make her feel guilty that this time that she was taking for herself, and they were decisions she made that were pragmatic decisions because it was financial, it was for health reasons, the weather, things like that. um, but it was really weighing on her heavily
yeah,
because of
no
the
doubt.
guilt. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've got the same. I have something similar that happens with one of my dear friends. She's 70, and she has worked all of her life. She saved her money, she invested her money, and she bought property in Portugal, and she was building a house. Well, she's from Australia, so her son
Yes.
and his family have now moved from Australia to Portugal.
Hmm.
And they're kind of like, hey, Grandma, can you take care of the kids? And she's kind of like, I moved away from y'all.
Hmm.
Love you, but I
Hmm.
did not move to Portugal so
Hmm.
that I could become a babysitter,
Right.
And so it's interesting for, what we think and how we will
Right.
put things, but she's also learning how to establish her boundaries
Hmm.
and to um, really to do it with love and respect
Hmm.
because she does
Yes.
love her kids. She loves her
Right.
grandkids,
Mhm.
but
Yes.
she's
Yeah.
also in her 70s. Her grandkids, there's no corporal punishment anymore.
Right.
So kids are
Right.
a little wild right now,
Yeah.
and there's no more, you don't get to play by the rules that she was raised by, that I was raised by.
Right.
And so kids can be a handful. You have
Hmm.
two boys that are 4 and 5 years old,
Oh, very
and you
young.
put
Yes.
very young, very
Mhm.
energetic, and grandma is
Mhm.
kind of like, I'm tired,
Yes.
and keeping
Yes.
them for the weekend is not it's not that
Yes.
easy, you
And that's
know?
why I say that you need that. That's why, again, I go back to the coach, the mentor, because you need that sounding board almost, right? Because
Yeah,
you can be at your wit's end. And I want to make sure that people understand that. And that's to be expected because it
yeah,
does happen. You're at your wit's end. You don't know where to turn, what you're thinking. I know that a lot of people feel guilt, and it's not shameful that you're thinking that way. You're not a bad person. There is no bad. There is no wrong.
yeah,
This is what you're going through, and you really need someone to um, be the strength, the pillar for you. That's
That's right.
really important. That's why I feel that these conversations are important because we can touch the lives of even one person to make that decision to find someone that can help them, that it's so important for them.
Yeah, 100%. You know, I was one of my students, one of my graduates, developed her own coaching program through my certification, and it's all about boundaries. And when we were doing our work for her to kind of uncover what it was she wanted to, how she wanted to help people, she said, you know, there's this thing that has troubled me all of my life. It was about boundaries, boundaries with my parents, you know, within my family structure. You know, I wasn't allowed to have my own space. I wasn't allowed to have downtime. It was always this kind of encroaching on my boundaries, and I wasn't even allowed to speak up about it. And then she said, I noticed that those violations of boundaries started coming into my relationships. She found herself with men who did not respect her boundaries, you know, and you know, even things that could seem innocent were overstepping. And then she said, even with her kids, she found herself enmeshed. Like she never learned how to develop those boundaries. And now she's in midlife and she's this coach and she's, you know, worked on these things over the
Mhm.
years. She's worked and found her
Yes.
freedom. And now she's helping other people find their freedom.
Mhm.
I find it to be incredibly powerful, this whole cycle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful cycle that is out there, that she's not only gone through it, but now she's helping others. And
That's it.
she's offering that help because
Yeah.
oftentimes, people don't know where to turn. And that's why I say really that these conversations are important because you never know where you're going to hear that this is for you, because you don't know until you listen.
Absolutely. Yeah. These conversations are important. And they're important for the people that, you know, putting them out there as you
Mhm.
do, Marissa. I think that's so important. But also having the conversations, like speaking to you is opening my heart. It's
Mhm.
opening my mind. You know, there's so much that's going on. Just even engaging in the conversation
Yes.
with you is super healing.
Yes. It's true, right? We don't realize that, but it really is, right? Again, I harken back to the fact that there's so much negativity. Why not try to put out the positive? And we're having these positive conversations with one another and we're connecting. And after all, we are all interconnected, no matter what anybody says we are. And we
Yeah.
should be. And
Mm.
we should be out there helping each other and connecting with each other. And it's true. It's wonderful to have these conversations, and I hope we have so many more. I mean, I know you're in Europe, but I'm so thrilled because I do listen to you often. When I get a chance, I pop it on and I listen because you have a different time than me, so I often have that time frame that I can jump on and listen to what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I do want to thank you so much, Crystal, for coming on the show. I so appreciate this conversation, and I appreciate you letting the audience know what you're doing and how to get in touch with you. It's just wonderful and everything you're doing. And please, everybody, you have to get the books. They're ebooks. You got to get on there and read. And it's wonderful reading, really,
Yeah.
really wonderful
Thank
reading.
you. Thank you. It's also wonderful writing. I love writing. I love the process and putting it together and wrapping it up. So thank you. Thank you so much for your support, Marissa. You know, you're always there. I see you and I'm like, oh,
Oh, you're
she's
quite
such an
welcome.
angel. She's one of my angels, man. So thank you so much.
Again, thank you. Have a wonderful evening because it's evening your time. And
Yeah.
hopefully we'll speak again soon.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you. All
Thank
right,
you. Bye
everyone.
now.